24 of their last 30 road games. Yes, indeed. That's how it sounded when the final buzzer sounded in New Orleans earlier tonight. Tim Roy on the call, as always, here on 95.7 The Game. And if we are to look at a smaller sample just this season on the road, the Warriors 7-2 away from the friendly confines with the win tonight, 112-108 over the Pelicans. They're now 12-3 on the season. Welcome into Warriors Wrap-Up here on 95.7 The Game. Mark Randy with you. The phone lines are open. The text line is open. That's the Comcast Business text line. If you want to join the conversation, shoot me a call, shoot me a text, or give me a call, 888-957-9570. Happy Friday evening. Hopefully all you out there are dry and safe. If you are on your way home, if you're getting somewhere for a drink on Friday night, make sure you are driving carefully and slowly. It is gnarly out there. Take your time. It'll be there when you get there, even if you are a little bit delayed. But until then, until you get to your destination, rock with me here on Warriors Wrap-Up on 95.7 The Game as the Dubs knock off the Pelicans 112-108. Hey, it was not pretty. It was not easy. But it doesn't got to be pretty and it doesn't got to be easy. All that matters is a win, and the Warriors got that win tonight. Again, 112-108 over the Pelicans. The Warriors tried their best to lose this game down the stretch. It wasn't always easy for them, but they were playing decent basketball. They were making their free throws for a change. How about that? There were some turnovers, and that's kind of been an issue for the Warriors at times this year, but you looked like hyper-focused to the last couple of moments of this basketball game. Draymond Green missed a couple of free throws. Then Draymond Green turned the ball over on an inbound pass with the Warriors up by 2 with 12 seconds left. The Warriors luckily get a stop when Trey Murphy III, an awesome three-point shooter, misses one from the left wing. Ultimately, Draymond fouled on a rebound that went to review. The call was upheld. Foul. Draymond, though, splits the free throws, makes the first, misses the second. He somehow is able to corral the loose ball, though, off the miss. He gets fouled again. He makes the first. It's a 4-point game. There's less than a second left. The game's over at that point. But the Warriors made it a whole lot more difficult on themselves than they had to in this one. But bottom line, a win is a win is a win. And the Warriors knock off the Pelicans 112-108. They're 12-3 on the year. They're 7-2 away from home. And hey, guess what? Guess what, Dub Nation? The Warriors 3-0 in NBA Cup group stage games. They are leading the way in West Group C. And as we look right now, the other important score in West Group C, it's going on right now in Denver, the Mavericks and Nuggets. And I will keep you updated on this game throughout the night here on Warriors Wrap-Up. After one quarter, the Mavericks lead the Nuggets 33-31. Very early, of course, and only a 2-point lead for Dallas, but that is a good number for the Warriors. If that score holds, of course, very early, only a 2-point game, that's asking for a lot. But if Dallas knocks off Nikola Jokic and the Nuggets in Denver, the Warriors will win West Group C, and they will be on to the NBA Cup quarterfinals. First time that they would have advanced past the group stage. Remember last year, they did not get past the group stage. They are a Denver loss against the Mavericks away from claiming West Group C. Even if Denver was to win tonight, there's still a pretty good chance the Warriors will advance to the quarterfinals, but they could officially have it all wrapped up as soon as, an hour and a half or maybe an hour 45 from now. It could all be wrapped up. I likely won't be with you for another 2 hours. I won't have the final determination there for you, but all you need to know in terms of NBA group and West Group C play is Dallas wins, the Warriors are West Group C champs. Denver wins, and we got to keep playing a little bit. The Warriors do play Denver on December 3rd for their final group stage game. If they win that, of course, they'd be 4-0, and they will be through. There's also a pretty decent chance if the Warriors were to lose that game against Denver, they still could potentially be West Group C champs, and even if they're not, they could also then be the wild card team that goes to the next round anyway. So there's 6 groups, 3 in each conference. The group champs, each of the 6 group champs advance, plus 2 at-large wild card bids. And if the Warriors would be 3-1, which would be the record they would be if they were not to win the group, right? They're 4-0. They're winning the group because you beat everybody else. There's no way anybody else could be undefeated. If they're 3-1, there's a pretty decent chance that's enough to get them as a wild card through to the quarterfinal round of the NBA Cup. But that's all to be determined. The simplest way I can put it is Dallas wins. Klay Thompson and the Mavericks win tonight in Denver. The Warriors are West Group C champs, and they will officially be on to the quarterfinal round of the NBA Cup. So I'll check on that score as we continue here on Warriors Wrap-Up. But we want to hear from you guys here on 95.7 The Game. Mark Randy with you. The 415 and the 510 already chiming in. And yeah, the 510, you went exactly where I think we got to start here on Warriors Wrap-Up, and that was Andrew Wiggins. My goodness, Andrew Wiggins, how good has he been really all season, but specifically the last week or so? Andrew Wiggins tonight, he finishes in this basketball game. Andrew Wiggins, a season-high 30 points. He was efficient again, 9 of 14 from the field, 3 of 5 from downtown. And how about this in a season that has been so weird from the free throw line for the Warriors? 9 of 9 on free throws. 9 of 9 on free throws for Andrew Wiggins. I think back to the 2022 year, which is what we do so often when we're talking about Wiggins, because that was when he was consistently at his best and most effective, not just as a Warrior, but in his career. And he's always kind of been an all-right free throw shooter. I'm not sure how many of you guys have this same experience, but I always felt like when Andrew Wiggins goes to the free throw line, he's essentially guaranteed to split. Obviously, he shoots better than 50%, but it feels like he splits free throws more often than not. Tonight, 9 of 9 free throwing. That just goes with an overall incredibly efficient day offensively. 30 points on 14 field goal attempts. That's legitimately like a Steph Curry sounding stat line. 30 points on 14 field goal attempts is ridiculous efficiency. 9 of 14 from the field, 3 of 5 from downtown, 9 of 9 free throws. He had 3 rebounds, not as active on the glass in this game, but when you're scoring 30 points, it does not matter. Also 4 assists, a steal, and a block shot as well. And he had a couple of miraculous finishes around the rim. We will hear one of those later on here on Warriors Wrap-Up on 95.7 The Game. But man, Andrew Wiggins was awesome in this game. And how about his last 3 games? I just mentioned tonight, 30 points, 9 of 14 from the field. Last game out on Wednesday against Atlanta at Chase Center, 27 points on 12 of 17 from the field. Game before that, the loss in LA against the Clippers on Monday, 22 points on 7 of 12 from the field. And how about this? Andrew Wiggins, 20-plus points in 3 consecutive games. That's the first time since, any guesses what year? First time since what year Andrew Wiggins has scored 20 or more points in 3 consecutive games? It's the easy answer, 2022. Every time we talk about Andrew Wiggins and the level that he can potentially reach, we're referencing 2022. So there's no surprise that Andrew Wiggins, playing as good as he is right now, is doing something that most recently he did when he was the Warriors' second most important player on a championship-winning team. 2022, the last time Andrew Wiggins scored 20-plus points in 3 consecutive games. Andrew Wiggins is absolutely on fire, and the Warriors, they lose this game if it's not for Andrew Wiggins tonight. He was amazing. He carried them offensively. He's doing his normal dirty work on defense. One of the interesting things about the Atlanta game for the Warriors was Lindy Waters drew the task of defending Trae Young, and that kind of freed up Andrew Wiggins, maybe some of his energy, and he was able to channel that on the offensive end, and he's now been able to do that on a couple of games in a row, although this is a Pelicans team that even with their injuries, someone like Trey Murphy III, a wing who can shoot the hell out of the ball, you want Andrew Wiggins on a guy like that. But if it wasn't for Wiggins tonight, the Warriors lose this game, and they probably lose it by double figures, which is kind of wild considering what Pelicans team was out there on the floor tonight. The Pelicans were without Zion Williamson, without C.J. McCollum, without DeJounte Murray, and without Herbert Jones, along with a few others, Yves Missi, the rookie big man out of Baylor who's had a really awesome start to this season. He was also unavailable. There were a couple of others not as important in the rotation. But between Zion, C.J. McCollum, DeJounte Murray, and Herbert Jones, you're looking at legit maybe 4 of their 5 starters if everybody is healthy. And they went toe-to-toe with the Warriors. And I think sometimes it's kind of easy to just say, well, you know, your opponent is down player X, player Y, player Z. Like, you should come in and win by 30. And obviously sometimes it works that way. It happened when Dallas absolutely obliterated this team recently, and that's why there's such a discrepancy in the point differential tiebreaker category in the NBA Cup West Group C, by the way, which would not matter. The reason why a Dallas win does not qualify Dallas to potentially still win West Group C is because the Warriors have the head-to-head win. That if in a two-way tiebreaker where one team played the other, as is the case in all groups, at the end of group play, the Warriors have the tiebreaker over Dallas because they won that head-to-head matchup, even though Dallas very likely would have the Warriors beat on point differential, because right now they're like plus 30-something because they absolutely dominated one timeout, and their loss to the Warriors was a very, very narrow loss. The Warriors' 3 wins in the group are all very, very narrow wins, but they're all wins. And that is, of course, the tiebreaker of all tiebreakers, the first, the record, but then second, the head-to-head record. And the Warriors have the edge over the Mavericks. They also have the edge, of course, over the Grizzlies, and they have the edge now over the Pelicans as they've won all 3 of those games already. So Andrew Wiggins kept the Warriors afloat in this game. Obviously, you got some supporting scoring elsewhere. Stephen Curry was efficient himself with 19 points, 4 of 7 from downtown, was good on the glass and moving the ball around, 7 rebounds, 7 assists. Draymond Green made 3 threes again. How about this statistic? Golden State in the regular season, when Draymond Green makes 2 or more threes, the Warriors are now 141-31 all time. When Draymond makes 2 or more threes in a regular season game, the Warriors 141-31. How about when he makes 3 or more threes, as he did tonight? 3 of 4 from downtown, all of those makes and all of those attempts in the first half. When he makes 3 or more, the Warriors now 56-7 when he makes 3 or more from downtown. Draymond Green, 11 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists. You also got 9 points from Trace Jackson Davis in the starting center spot. And then off the bench, 12 from Buddy Hield. Didn't have the best shooting night. 3 of 10 from the field, 2 of 7 from downtown, and 11 from Brandon Podziemski, who is still struggling to hit from the outside and still seems a little bit hesitant to put up those shots. 0 for 5 from downtown, but 5 for 6 inside the arc. Is crafty as he has always been around the rim. Good to see him back in double figures. Also 5 rebounds and 3 assists. 11 points for Podziemski off the bench. You got 7 from Jonathan Kuminga. We will talk a little bit about Kuminga later on tonight. Didn't think he had anywhere near his best game. Had a good stretch in the third quarter, but it was rough elsewhere for Jonathan Kuminga. We can get into that, but I mean, right now, it is the Andrew Wiggins show, and he has been showing off of late. Again, Wiggins, his last 3 games, 22 points, 27 points, and 30 points tonight, and he has been efficient shooting the basketball in all 3. 7 for 12 from the field, 12 for 17 from the field, 9 for 14 from the field. It's the first time since 2020 that he scored 20 or more points in 3 consecutive games. The Warriors overcame a relatively, I don't want to say lifeless first half. I mean, they were scoring the ball pretty well, but the first half defensively was probably one of the Warriors' worst halves of defensive half of the year. The Pelicans in the first half, 63 points. That's a season high in a first half for the New Orleans Pelicans. And this is, again, a team that was riding tonight without Zion Williamson, without C.J. McCollum, without DeJounte Murray, without Herbert Jones. And they put up 63 points in the first half, a season high for them in a first half. They made 55% of their field goal attempts in the first half, 38% from downtown. They got to the line 10 times and made 9 of them. The Warriors were getting beat backdoor. They were getting beat in transition. They were getting beat off the dribble. They were giving up open threes, but the Warriors really buckled down in the second half. In the final 24 minutes, New Orleans only scored 45 points, and they shot just 35% from the field in the second half. They made just 6 of their 23 three-point attempts in the second half. The Warriors buckled down defensively, and they needed to because their offense themselves was a little bit slow going in the second half as well. They ultimately win by 4. They absolutely needed that defensive effort in the second half, and that's, along with what Andrew Wiggins did offensively, is what carried the Warriors to a win in this game tonight. Okay, time for a quick break here on Warriors Wrap-Up. When we come back, we will hear from Coach Kerr. That's coming up a little bit later on. Al in Alameda, I see you on hold. Apologies for not getting to you sooner. We're coming to you when we come back. As Warriors Wrap-Up continues, the Dubs knock off the Pelicans 112-108. The Warriors now 12-3 on the year, and they can clinch West Group C in the NBA Cup if Klay and the Mavericks take care of business against Jokic and Denver tonight. I'll check on that score when we come back from break as well. As Warriors Wrap-Up continues, it's Mark Randy with you right here on 95.7 The Game.
Liam Maitland here. What better way to celebrate the holidays?
And Golden State's back on top. 53-51. Stephen Curry with that unbelievable release of his.
Now back to Warriors Wrap Up on 95.7 The Game.
Welcome back. Mark Randy with you here on a Friday evening. If you're on the move, make sure you stay safe out there. It has been wet and windy and pretty nasty out there. I'll keep you company on your drive wherever you're headed on this Friday, but please take it slow and take it easy out there on the roads. Warriors got the win tonight in New Orleans. Probably better weather in New Orleans right now than it is here in the Bay Area. They got the win 112-108, the Dubs over the Pelicans. You just heard Tim Roy there, the voice of the Dubs, as he called it here on 95.7 The Game. That was, Andrew Wiggins getting it done on the defensive end as well. A steal leading to a Steph Curry 3. Curry finished with 19 points. He was 4 for 7 from downtown. It wasn't a Steph Curry great game by any stretch, but Steph Curry is the kind of player when somebody else has got it going, he does not mind taking a little bit of a back seat on the offensive end to help facilitate that, and tonight was another instance of that. He had 7 assists to help get that done. 6 of 13 from the field, Steph. 19 points in total. Made way for Andrew Wiggins. 30 points. 9 of 14 from the field, 3 of 5 from downtown, and 9 of 9 from the free throw line. With the win tonight, what the Warriors guaranteed themselves is you go into Denver, and even if you don't clinch the West Group C by tonight, you win the game in Denver, you are West Group C champs. You might not even need to win that game to get the job done, even if you don't know if you have clinched tonight or not. There's a number of different ways this can play out, but all you need to know for tonight, there's another game in the Western Conference going on right now, and it is West Group C action. Mavericks and Nuggets in Denver. If the Mavericks win, the Warriors are West Group C champs, and they will have officially punched their ticket to the quarterfinals of the 2024-2025 NBA Cup. They would be one of 8 teams to make it to that stage. And as of right now, if you're rooting for the Warriors to win the Cup, which I think most Warrior fans are, it's good news. Right now in Denver, the Nuggets are trailing Clay and the Mavs 60-46, under 3 minutes to go in the second quarter. It's an interesting score because the Mavericks are without Luka Doncic, who will be out for, I think, at least a week with a wrist injury, and Nikola Jokic is back tonight after missing a handful of games for the birth of his son. So congratulations to the Jokic family, but he is now back. Jokic back, Doncic out, but it is the Mavericks in Denver who have a 14-point lead right now, under 3 to go. And if you're curious if the Warriors do care about the NBA Cup, well, Brandon Pajemski was asked as much on the postgame show on NBC Sports Bay Area, and essentially just said, hell yeah, we want the money. So it seems like the Warriors are eager to advance to the quarterfinal stage, and they could officially get that done. Maybe when they're in the air tonight traveling to San Antonio, they might get word that they have officially clinched West Group C if the Mavericks can hold on against the Nuggets. Again, that score right now, under 3 to go in the first half. Mavericks lead Denver 60-46. Okay, we'll hear from Coach Kerr coming up in just a little bit. 888-957-9570. But as promised, let's go out to the phone lines. You can join me again and offer your thoughts, 888-957-9570. Up first, though, is Al in Alameda. Al, what's up? You're on Warriors Wrap-Up with Mark Randy. How you doing tonight, Al?
Yay, what's up? How you doing? Good evening. Thank you for taking my call. Listen, this game, I know it's Pelicans. They're under 500. I'm not really thrilled the way they win this game tonight. You know, I am so surprised Wiggins saved us tonight, being perfect in a free throw. If not, oh, my God, we would have lost the game with a free throw. I've seen that between Wiggins and Kuminga and our center. Oh, my God, I'm blanking out right now.
Trace Jackson Davis?
But then again, I'm so happy. Yes, yeah, oh, my God. I've been seeing that lately. It's a pattern right now. It's a pattern. But Wiggins, you know, perfect tonight, we won. If it would have been 50%, we would have lost, okay? But then again, this is what I take on Wiggins and Jay Taves. The shooting. I'm sorry, guys, I can shoot better than those guys. I can do a rainbow shot. This guy's shooting like a line drive. It's a line drive. It's like, my God, it's only like a foot over the rim. They cannot shoot the ball like a rainbow. They need to practice on that, and also in the free throw. Okay, they're going to do like a perfect short. Rainbow, so you get a second chance bounce and go in by chance. Okay, and thank you for that. And right now, Putinski, 11 points. He's doing his thing. I appreciate that. Bench and Steve Kerr, he's pushing the button. I really like it. And bottom line, we got down tonight on a free throw missing. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Turnovers is a lot better. Keep it up, Warriors. Thank you very much. Thank you for taking my call.
Yeah, appreciate the call, Al. The free throw stuff is, it is what it is. It's kind of infuriating at this point. I'm sure it's so much more infuriating for Steve Kerr than it is for any of us out here. But it's also a weird thing because it's not like these guys are sixth graders on a CYO team where it's like, all right, guys, like let's spend an hour of practice time just practicing our free throws because, these are professional basketball players who have been playing basketball for the majority of these guys' lives, and you're not making them, and suddenly maybe it's getting in your head and it becomes a confidence issue. It's not that they can't make them, it's just that they're in a dry spell right now, and it is going to get turned around. This was a good free throw shooting team last year, and the majority of those players from last year are back. I think the numbers will eventually come back around, and for the most part, they were good from the line tonight, and they got to the line a lot, by the way. 29 free throw attempts, 22 for 29 tonight. That's nearly 76%. You'll take that. And the majority of those misses came in the fourth quarter. I have the tally here for you. The Warriors did not attempt a free throw in the first quarter. They were 4 for 5 in the second quarter, so 4 for 5 in the first half. 8 for 9 in the third quarter, so 12 for 14 through 3 quarters. That's pretty darn good. And then 10 for 15 in the fourth. That's where it got iffy. And Draymond missed 4 in the final couple of minutes. And that's what partly allowed this to be a basketball game, was those missed free throws. So while it wasn't really an issue for the majority of this basketball game, it definitely was an issue down the stretch. And it was, it came close to costing the Warriors a win in this one. And as Al pointed out, a win against the lowly Pelicans, who right now are 4-13. The Pelicans are a much, 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 much better basketball team than 4-13 suggests. Of course, they're just dealing with so many injuries at the moment that it's difficult for them to get any sort of rhythm going, and difficult for them to throw out any kind of players and units and lineups that have any sort of consistency and are a real threat to opponents. The starting lineup tonight included Elfrid Payton and Javonte Green. And nothing against those guys. Elfrid Payton was a first-round pick, I believe, of the Orlando Magic years ago, but has bounced around. I think has been out of the league, maybe in the G League, or maybe he played overseas for a bit. Javonte Green has bounced around a little bit, I believe, sometime with the Celtics, sometime with the Bulls, now here with the Pelicans. Daniel Tice was an offseason acquisition for them. Brandon Ingram and Trey Murphy, 2 normal starters that did play. Trey Murphy, by the way, hasn't played very much so far this year. He got hurt in preseason and missed the majority of the season to this point. But, they're trotting out players such as Antonio Reeves, Brandon Boston Jr., previously of the Clippers, Trey Jamison III, who hasn't played a lot this year, at least when more of the big men for the Pelicans have been healthy. This is just a roster that can't really compete at the NBA level right now. And to their credit, they played really well against the Warriors tonight. And while it's easy to just say, well, a win's a win, and the Warriors got the job done, I think there is some credence to what Al is talking about, our caller. And if you want to join the conversation, you can. 888-957-9570. That's also the Comcast Business text line. And on the Comcast Business text line, the 510 brings up a good point that I think goes hand in hand with what Al was talking about. The Warriors not being able to kind of close the door on this injury-ravaged Pelicans team, what does that do? No, it didn't cost you a win tonight. You're now 12-3, and you're 3-0 in West Group C play. You're on the doorstep of potentially winning West Group C. I'll have a score update for you at halftime from Dallas, the Dallas and Denver game in just a second. It's good news for the Warriors, by the way. I'll tell you the score once it officially goes to halftime. But what the Warriors did by not being able to take care of their business earlier is you might have hurt your chances at winning tomorrow night. You got a doubleheader. You are traveling to San Antonio tonight to take on Victor Wembanyama and the San Antonio Spurs in tomorrow, and that game will be over 24 hours from now. Tip-off in tomorrow's basketball game. Let me double-check for you. It's at 5:30, so we got pregame coverage. I'll be with you at 4:30 on Warriors Live right here on 95.7 The Game. You got a back-to-back. It's only the Warriors' second back-to-back of the season. They had a home back-to-back earlier in the year when they beat these same Pelicans both nights of a back-to-back. That's an easier back-to-back. One is the same opponent, and two, you're at home. You get to sleep in your own bed. This is the Warriors' first real tough back-to-back where you got a road game in one city and then a road game at another city the next night. Not a super long travel, New Orleans to San Antonio, but not easy. Not easy to play a game, hop on a plane, get into a city very late, not get a ton of sleep, I would guess, and then have to play another basketball team against a San Antonio team that isn't terrible, 8-8, right around 500. The West is so deep. The Spurs are 8-8, and they are currently 12th place in the West. 8-8 would get you to 5th place in the Eastern Conference, by the way. So this Spurs team is no slouch. They got Victor Wembanyama. They got Chris Paul. They got Harrison Barnes as well, by the way. We can talk a little bit more about that San Antonio matchup coming up later on here on Warriors Wrap-Up. And, of course, I'll take you through it tomorrow at 4:30 for Warriors Live when we get ready for tip in San Antonio between the Dubs and the Spurs. Tip-off at 5:30. Coverage begins at 4:30 here on 95.7 The Game. But the Warriors win tonight 112-108. That might be the reason why the Warriors are a little bit frustrated. And again, it's what the 510 was talking about on the Comcast Business text line. You needed your veterans to play maybe a little bit too many minutes tonight, more minutes than you were hoping for as you try to gear up for that second end of the back-to-back. Steph played 33 minutes tonight. Draymond Green played just under 30. Andrew Wiggins, 28+. Not a lot of crazy minute totals, but still, if this was a game where maybe you were up by 15 points with 6 minutes to go, you could pull Steph Curry out. Maybe he only gets to 28 minutes instead of 33. Who knows? But the Warriors, I think, feel all right. You get the win against a team that's kind of playing for their NBA Cup lives. They absolutely were. They absolutely were playing for their NBA Cup lives. And it's kind of difficult, and I think Steve Kerr will address this, and we'll hear from Steve in just a minute. When you are playing a team that's without like 4 of their top 5 players, sometimes it's difficult to, attack that game with the same intensity that you might otherwise. It's kind of, I think, human nature to maybe let your foot off the gas pedal a little bit. And I'm sure that was a conversation that Steve Kerr and Terry Stotts and Jerry Stackhouse and all those guys had with the team pregame. But sometimes it's very difficult to try to actually, put that into practice. It's easy to say, but it might not be the easiest thing to put into practice. Let's see if Steve Kerr did address that. I'm sure he talked about something along those lines and a whole lot more. Steve Kerr postgame tonight in New Orleans after the Warriors win 112-108. The Dubs now 12-3, 3-0 in NBA Cup play, and they are on the brink of potentially winning West Group C because at halftime in Denver, the Mavericks have a 20-point lead, 73-53. Clay and the Mavs in front. If that score holds, the Warriors, when that game goes final, will be champions of West Group C, and they will be on to the NBA Cup quarterfinals. Let's see if Steve Kerr talked about that postgame tonight in New Orleans.
I think we got our legs underneath us. A long travel day yesterday and no shoot around this morning. Sometimes in these situations, it takes you a little while to get the juices flowing. So, to hold them to 45 in the second half was the key to the game.
What kind of group is Andrew in right now offensively?
Yeah, Andrew is feeling great. You saw him knock down all the threes early, his free throws. He looked fantastic out there. His defense on Ingram, so a lot of good stuff.
How would you assess just the last minute and a half? kind of
Not great. But a game like this, you take the win and you run. You just get out of the arena and get to the airport and enjoy the win and watch the tape later and figure out what you can do better. But so this was going to be a tough game. Obviously them getting Ingram and Murphy back, and a desperate team. I thought they played really hard tonight, right from the beginning, set a tone, and fortunately we responded. But I thought they outplayed us for much of the game. They only had 10 turnovers. We had 17. So we've got to be better. But again, thrilled with the victory.
What did you make of Brandon's kind of all-around activity with what he did through the night?
BP,
Yeah.
He was great. I mean, he's such a good rebounder. He had so many big ones there in the second half. He makes the right play over and over again. He moves the ball. The game just connects when he's on the floor. So he was great. A lot of guys. I thought Loon in the second half made a huge difference for us. So we're just trying to find different guys each game, and it's. We have a deep team, and we're confident we can find a group each night that's going to be able to take us home.
Plan to go with everybody tomorrow.
Yeah, that's the plan. We'll see how everybody holds up and comes out of the aftermath of this game. But that's the plan.
Coach, before the game, you mentioned that you see a lot of similarity between this team and then 2022 when you guys win the championship. Is the reason why Andrew gave you guys such a confidence and he back to like the 2022 himself?
Yeah, I think Andrew is a huge part of that. He was such an important player in that playoff run. He was so good for us, and between that and the depth, adding veteran players who are really strong leaders, guys like Kyle and Buddy and Melt, reminds me a lot of when we added Gary Payton and Bielitsa and Otto Porter in 22. So the team has a similar makeup and a good chemistry, and it's been a pleasure coaching these guys, and we have really good chemistry in our locker room, and those are always fun seasons when you can feel that.
What has changed from this season compared to last season from Andrew Wiggins?
I think defensively. Oh, from Wiggins, I just think he's in a great frame of mind. The last couple of years have been very tough on him on a personal level, and I think he's got some peace of mind. He came into camp in great shape. He's got a great family behind him. He's got a lot of good things going for him in his life, and he's in a really good place.
That's Steve Kerr post-game in New Orleans tonight after the Warriors knocked off the Pelicans 112-108. He was talking about exactly what we were just talking about before we heard from Steve Kerr. First of all, he said the final minute and a half, that was where you saw some missed free throws. Draymond missed 4, although only 3 were important. The fourth one was when the Warriors were up by 4 with less than a second left. At that point, the game is over. That free throw less important, but still, you missed some other free throws to make those other... you missed earlier free throws that kept New Orleans in, and then you missed other free throws that made later free throws still important when the game could have already been over. At that point, he called the final minute and a half, quote, not great, but he also said in a game like this, you just, quote, take the win and run. And that is exactly what the Warriors do. You obviously, and he said it himself, we got to be better. The turnovers, specifically 17 turnovers, where the Warriors, I think, maybe not won this game here, but where they did manage to kind of offset some of the issues with the turnovers was points off turnovers. They committed 17 turnovers. The Pelicans turned that into 14 points off turnovers. So they were not terribly efficient turning turnovers into points. The Warriors had 12 points off of 10 Pelicans turnovers. So the Warriors, very efficient turning those turnovers into points for them. So they were -7 in the turnover category, but only a -2 in the points off turnover category. That was a plus for the Warriors. You can make a positive out of a negative there, but Steve Kerr is right when saying they got to be better with the turnovers. 17 is maybe about like 4 more than Steve Kerr would probably want on any given night. Somewhere right around 13 is a good mark to aim for if you are the Golden State Warriors. 17 turnovers today. Not great, but again, they were more efficient, the Warriors were, in terms of turning opponent turnovers into points than the Pelicans were turning Warriors turnovers into points. So that is an area to be encouraged by if you are the Warriors, those points off turnover battles, which are always big. Steve Kerr also talked about, again, how it felt like New Orleans kind of outplayed them, at least out-efforted them. He said, quote, they were a very desperate team, and they played really hard from the jump. That was relatively evident, but he also talked about the Warriors managing to get the job done down the stretch, and that is very good news. How about this? The Warriors in clutch time so far this year, 5-2 in clutch time games this season. You think back to last year, and I guess before even that, let's define what a clutch game is. A game within the final 5 minutes of regulation is within 5 points, plus or minus 5 points, one way or the other. So a game that's within a score or two in the final 5 minutes of regulation. And the Warriors are 5-2 now in 7 clutch games so far this year. You think back to last year when they played an NBA most 48 clutch games last year, and the Warriors were 500, 24-24 in those 48. 11 of their losses last year were by 3 or fewer points. So the Golden State Warriors easily, with a bounce of the ball one way, a made shot, a missed shot one way here and the other way, they could have easily had, I don't know, like 4, 5, 6 more wins, and that would have made a whole hell of a lot of difference in terms of the Western Conference standings. So that's where the Warriors easily can stack a few more wins on top of their win total from last year. It is just be better down the stretch. And so far, the Warriors have this year 5-2 in 7 clutch games, 7 of the Warriors' 15 games played so far this year. So nearly half have been clutch time. More than half last year were clutch time. Again, 48 total clutch time games last year out of the 82. The Warriors are playing a clutch game nearly every other at this stage, and they're 5-2 in those 7. So that, as well, is a good number for the Golden State Warriors. Let's talk a little bit here as Warriors Live continues. It's Mark Randy with you on Warriors Live, on Warriors Wrap Up on 95.7 The Game, and you can join the conversation, 888-957-9570. That's the number to call. 888-957-9570. It's also the Comcast Business text line where the 408 is chiming in. Wiggins playing like his all-star self and back to form this season. Yes, he is. He was amazing in this basketball game and has been so good, specifically the last 3, but really all season long. Tonight, 30 points, 9 of 14 from the field. Wednesday against Atlanta, 27 points on 12 of 17 from the field. Monday in LA against the Clippers, 22 points on 7 of 12 from the field. He's now scored 20 or more points in 3 straight games for the first time since 2022, when he was the Warriors' second most important player on a team that won a championship. His fellow wing player, a teammate, Jonathan Kuminga, I think he's been a big story for this team, especially recently. Coming into tonight's game, had not played 20 minutes in 3 consecutive games, and I thought for the most part he'd played relatively well in those 3 games, specifically the last 2, on Monday against the Clippers and on Wednesday against the Hawks. I thought Jonathan Kuminga was the reason the game turned on Wednesday against the Hawks, and he did not play for the majority of the second half, only had 13 non-garbage time minutes on Wednesday against Atlanta. When he came in with about 5 minutes to go in the first quarter, he immediately turned the game around with 2 steals, leading to Buddy Hield buckets. He made good passes. When he pushed the ball off those steals, he made a 3 in a rhythm in the flow of the offense, and he got to the line multiple times, all in like a 3-minute stretch in that first quarter, and helped build that Warriors lead up around 20 points. I cannot say the same about Jonathan Kuminga tonight. He seemed a little helter-skelter. It wasn't flowing. He was driving, and you love to see him drive, but he kind of gets into these modes sometimes where he kind of just drives and isn't really exactly sure how the play is going to end up, and he tries to end up drawing a foul, and he throws up a wild shot, or the help defense comes and they block it. And he had a couple of turnovers that way, had a couple of blocked shots. He finished just 3 of 10 from the field, 7 points in 20 minutes and 19 seconds. So got back up a bit above 20 minutes for the first time after not playing 20 or more minutes in each of the last 3 games. He had a really nice stretch in the third quarter where he drove 3 times in a span of like 2 minutes, finished at the rim twice, and then on the third drive, dumped it off to a cutting Kevon Looney from the baseline for an easy lay-in. Those were 3 awesome moments for Jonathan Kuminga. But other than that, it was not his most effective game, not his most efficient game. And I think, like, there's a little bit of reason, I think, if I'm Kuminga, to be frustrated here, because I thought he had an awesome game in LA against the Clippers, and the Warriors did not really turn to him in the fourth quarter, and I thought he had an awesome stretch in that first quarter against Atlanta, as I already detailed, and he did not play really at all. He played like 3.5 minutes in the third quarter, and that was it for the entire second half until garbage time. So if he's not getting that run when he's playing well and he's in a rhythm, I imagine it's kind of difficult to when you do get up above 20 minutes, but it's when you're not in that rhythm. And yeah, it's on him to make the right decisions, and I fully get that. But I think for a guy who's kind of trying to find his footing, it is important to get him those minutes when you can, when he's playing well and when he's got that confidence and when he's making the right decisions and the offense is flowing through him and he's not being a ball stopper. So that's where I think there's a little bit of frustration around Jonathan Kuminga. He should feel frustrated, by the way, because he wants to be starting and he wants to be playing more minutes. And if you don't feel that frustration, then maybe you don't belong in the NBA. So I'm sure he feels that. But I think it's important for a guy who is kind of trying to figure out who he is in the league. You got to maximize his minutes when things are working well. And I don't think that has happened recently. We'll see how he responds in a game like tomorrow. It could be big. It could be big because the Warriors on a back-to-back after a game tonight that came down to the wire. This might be a moment for JK maybe to play more minutes. And maybe he builds on that. He builds on that run he had in the third quarter tonight. And he can turn this into some positive momentum. But I can understand why it's been a little bit frustrating for Jonathan Kuminga lately. He wasn't very good tonight. That's the bottom line. 7 points, 3 of 10 from the field, 0 of 2 from downtown. Was on the glass, 4 rebounds, had a couple of assists and a block. He had only 1 turnover, but there were a couple of shots that were ill-advised. He forced it. The 510 chiming in on the Comcast Business text line. JK was trying to force the action, I would agree, and he had a couple of shots that were blocked immediately that essentially were turnovers, but they were called field goal attempts and missed field goal attempts. But what 1 turnover I don't think accurately describes his decision-making tonight. He made some plays worthy of maybe 3 turnovers in this game tonight. He was not great, but Andrew Wiggins was amazing. Steph Curry was his efficient self, and you got help elsewhere. Good to see Brandon Podziemski back in double figures with 11. You got 12 from Buddy Hield off the bench, who has kind of cooled off shooting the basketball of late. 12 points, only 2 of 7 from downtown. Made a big one on a nice play by Kuminga. That was another nice play. Kuminga gets the ball in semi-transition, throws a football-style pass up the court to Podziemski, who then shovels underhanded to Hield for an open 3. That was one of Hield's 2 threes tonight, 2 of 7 from downtown. You got 11 from Draymond Green, who made 3 more threes tonight. The Warriors now 56-7 when he makes 3 or more threes in a regular season game. All good stuff there for the Warriors, but it was not the best moments for Jonathan Kuminga tonight. Okay, a few more things to touch on before we do get on out of here. We got to go to our play of the game, and there were a couple of ones we could have chosen for this. But what we are going to do is highlight Andrew Wiggins because he was phenomenal with 30 points tonight, 9 of 14 from the field, 3 of 5 from downtown. Third consecutive game with 20 or more points, and none more exciting or impressive than this bucket.
Wiggins takes it up top. Crossover dribble, spins down the lane with one hand. He banked it home. His left arm being held, right arm was free, kissed it in off the window, and a chance for the and one. My goodness.
And that was an amazing play and greatly described by the voice of the Warriors, Tim Roy, here on 95.7 The Game. It not only was a wild acrobatic play by Andrew Wiggins, who, again, Jeremiah Robinson Earl, the defender, had Wiggins' left arm kind of pinned to his back, and Wiggins, in the middle of a spin move as his arm gets grabbed, is able to corral the ball with his right hand, and as he's kind of getting pulled away from the rim, throws it up, banks it in, plus the foul, makes the free throw, lead is 8 with 5:13 to go. That was a gigantic momentum-shifting play for the Warriors, and it was just one of many awesome moments for Andrew Wiggins tonight. There were a couple of other really nice moments in this basketball game. There was the Curry kind of hook pass over the top of his head after he got a long defensive rebound that led to Andrew Wiggins for a dunk in the first quarter. There was another Steph Curry defensive rebound, and then he pushed, found Moses Moody, who was like stumbling, gathered himself, finished a wild reverse, and the foul. A couple of highlight level plays for the Warriors tonight, but I think that Andrew Wiggins one certainly takes the cake. That was a really, really nice moment for Andrew Wiggins and the Golden State Warriors. They ride Andrew Wiggins' 30 points, and they win this basketball game again by a final score of 112-108. Another check on the game going on right now in Denver. The Nuggets trail the Mavericks 79-62, so a 17-point Dallas Mavericks lead at the moment, 8:40 to go in the third quarter. If that score does hold, the Warriors will be champions of West Group C, and they will be on to the quarterfinals of the NBA Cup. The way it works, you got 6 groups across the entire NBA, 3 in each conference. Each group champion is through, and then 2 at-large bids. The Warriors are in pole position right now to claim West Group C. They are the only undefeated, and if Dallas wins tonight, it will all be wrapped up. The Warriors will be champions of West Group C. Even if Denver comes back and wins, the Warriors still have a very good chance to advance. They would just need to beat Denver, or they still could lose to Denver, and based on what happens elsewhere, they could still very much be in. So the current score right now, 19-point Dallas lead over the Denver Nuggets, 7:45 and ticking left in the third quarter in Denver. Okay, final thing before we get on out of here on this Friday evening is Crashing the Boards, which as always is brought to you by Chilton Auto Body, the Bay Area leader in collision repair. Crashing the Boards tonight for the Golden State Warriors. We'll give this one to Trace Jackson Davis. Trace Jackson Davis and Draymond Green, each with 8 rebounds tonight to pace the Warriors. But Trace Jackson Davis did it in like 11 and a half fewer minutes. So I think that deserves the shout out tonight. Trace Jackson Davis in 18 plus minutes. He had 9 points, 8 rebounds in this basketball game, finishing around the rim as he always does. Also put up a 3-pointer tonight because it was late in the clock. I think he hit it off like the top or the side of the backboard, but we don't need to think about that. 8 rebounds for Trace Jackson Davis tonight. He gets the honor of crashing the boards, which again is brought to you by Chilton Auto Body, the Bay Area leader in collision repair. Thank you for sponsoring this segment, as always, to Chilton Auto Body. Okay, Warriors victorious tonight, 112-108 over the New Orleans Pelicans. They begin this quick little 2-game road trip with a W. They're now 12-3 on the season, and they're 7-2 away from home this year, and they have a back-to-back coming up tomorrow night. Victor Wembanyama, Chris Paul, Harrison Barnes, some familiar faces waiting for the Warriors in San Antonio tomorrow. The Spurs 8-8. They're no slouch. No slouch. This will be a tough back-to-back for the Golden State Warriors, but the Warriors right now atop the Western Conference at 12-3. That game tomorrow at 5:30. Pre-game coverage here on 95.7. The game begins at 4:30. I'll have you covered right then at 4:30 for Warriors Live as we get ready for Dubs and Spurs from San Antonio. Okay, for Chris O'Connell, for Cam Williams, my name is Mark Randy signing off. We'll talk tomorrow. Warriors victorious in New Orleans tonight, 112-108. They'll try to make it a 2-0 road trip tomorrow, and you can find all the action, of course, right here on 95.7 The Game.
And running backs Zamir White and Alexander Madison, each listed as doubtful against Denver with quad and ankle injuries, respectively. The two late games...
Marcus Allen is going to start.
They can use
Sunday.
him, quite honestly. Unfortunately, there's still somebody named Davis that owns the team. That may not be working.
Tell Allen.
Couple of blowouts in the two late NBA games. Mavericks lead at Denver is now 81-69 early in the third quarter. Nikola Jokic is playing, has 21 points for the Nuggets. Halftime in LA, Clippers 51-29 over the Sacramento Kings as De'Aaron Fox and starter Kevin Huerter and Keegan Murray, those three starters, a combined 1 of 16 from the floor in the first half for the Kings. Wins at home for Chicago, their first ever NBA Cup victory. I'm sure there's a banner coming for that for the Bulls.
The first Cup win for the Bulls. Look at that.
Houston won at home. Milwaukee as well. Giannis Antetokounmpo, a triple-double. Boston had to come from behind to win at Washington. Wizards have lost 10 straight. Wins for Golden State. And Philadelphia. Philly beat Brooklyn 113-98, even though Joel Embiid is out at least 2 games with a knee injury, and Paul George is out at least a couple of games with a hyperextended knee. And the late game in college hoops is still an hour away. Hawaii is hosting number 10, North Carolina. Back to you.
Thank you, Steve-O. The Jason Smith Show with Mike Harmon live from the TireRack.com studios. Do we have a crazy story about one of the most popular NFL personalities coming your way next? Keep it right here.
I'm so excited.
There is must-listen audio you have to hear.
I love it.
That's not Tim Tebow. Jason and Mike, Fox.
Want this for life.
When it's time to react, you know, we'll be right there with you.
He has gotten in the end zone for a touchdown.
Because we're fans too.
Oh my God, I love baseball.
Every game, every moment, we're always on and always reacting on Fox Sports Radio.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? I think my battery's dead. With free battery testing and charging, we can help you get back on the road.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
So what if I need a new one? We have the right Duralast battery for you, only at AutoZone.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
And what about my old battery? We can recycle it right here at America's #1 battery destination.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
To all you tool people out there, has Harbor Freight got a deal for you? Big savings every single day this November. Because we know that right now, when the price of everything only seems to go up, you need a place where prices stay low. So shop in-store or online for quality tools you can trust at prices you'll love every day. Whatever you do it for less at Harbor Freight.
Valvoline Instant Oil Change is your 15-minute drive-through oil change. Visit their expert technicians to check fluids, tire pressure, windshield wipers, batteries, and more. Safe holiday travel starts at Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Locations and coupons at BayAreaOilChange.com. BayAreaOilChange.com.
You hear that?